of the Artsy Sister, and I wanted today to talk about some of my favorite books. The first book worth mentioning is The Phantom of the Opera. A lot of folks are familiar with, the little plays and the movie that they made about it, and sometimes new metal and symphonic metal bands tend to play the Sing My Angel. But you should really give a shot to the book that inspires such beautiful music. The thing about the Phantom of the Opera book is that, depending on what translation you get, because it was originally written in French by Gaston Leroux, it can either be a great book or a terrible book. I read the book twice already, first in English, and then I found the worst version of the book ever. And it was a Spanish translation that I bought in Amazon. Well, I guess since it was in Spanish, the guy who was just translating it probably put it into Google, and then he brought out one of the worst books in history. It had like typos. The guy who translated to Spanish just did not care. They'd be like, it's the Phantom of the Opera, so you'll sell like pancakes. So whenever you're getting a Phantom of the Opera book to read, you gotta watch out for the translations, because depending on that, it can be a great book or it can be like a super heel to read. The next great book worth reading, novel, is Beware of Pity by Stephen Zweig. He was very famous during his time, like in the 40s and 30s, but then he became kind of obscure because of World War II. Like, since he was a Jewish writer, Hitler kind of went to town on his work, and eventually he had to flee to Brazil, and then he got so discouraged because of the World War II stuff that eventually he killed himself and his wife. It's very sad, but at least a good portion of his writings survived the Holocaust, even if he fell into despair. Oh yeah, Beware of Pity. The book is about a World War I soldier, and he's kind of pressured by a lot of people into kind of going on dates with a girl that can't walk well, that fell from a horse, and then she had an accident and then can no longer walk well. So then he feels very, very sorry for the girl, but he doesn't love her. So the book is warning you about the kind of stupid things that ruin people's lives just because you feel sorry for a person. The overall point of it is that you really and also it warns about being indecisive, and you really shouldn't be with a person romantically involved if you feel sorry for them. Especially if you're not decisive about it, It can hurt everyone's feet. Everyone involved can be hurt from that. So it's a very fun type of modern book. It's not at all I never heard of a book like that, And I think it even has a very old 20s and 30s movie, I think. So if you're not in the mood to read the book, you can always try to dig up the movie. So yeah, Beware of Pity. Very fun book. Another book of Stephen Zweig that I found amusing was his Biography of Hay. Normally nobody ever says that my favorite book is a biography. Most of the biographies are a heel to read. But he somehow made a biography fun to read. So you should check out the Biography of Hay and some of other Stephen Zweig's biography of historical people. The next good book worth mentioning is by Nabokov Vladimir. He's famous for Lolita, but I like better his non-XXX rated writing. The one that I wanted to first mention is The Losing Defense. So if you're a chess player, then you'll definitely find that book very enjoyable. It has a lot of cool chess playing action and a cute little romance subplot for good measure. And it also has a movie, so you know that book gets around. It's a good book. Another book that Nabokov that also got made into a movie that is also great is called Laughter in the Dark. I have read it a couple of times, first by myself, and then I read it to my mother. And it was just a very fun book, you know. It's about a rich guy who falls in love with a beautiful young woman, and then he ruins his life by leaving his wife and his child, you know. It's one of, like, just over the top. It sounds like the story of almost every guy imaginable these days, you know, like they see a cute young pretty thing, and then they leave their wife, you know. But what's fun about this book is just how badly his life turns out. So you could even see it as a cautionary tale. You could even give it as a gift to one of your womanizing guy friends, you know, that probably has done that many times, and kind of like warning, dude, you are headed in the wrong direction. What are you doing? I think it's mainly that people get bored, they take things for granted, and then they just decide, you know what? I feel like I'm ready to ruin my life. Yeah. A lot of people do stupid things because of boredom. The next book worth mentioning that is not boring at all is Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes. By that time, the Spanish language had finally finished evolving. You know that languages take time to like level up and whatnot, you know. If you read like English stuff for the old days, Shakespearean, and then you read the English right now, you notice how much it changed. But Spanish eventually found its truest, purest form in the book Don Quixote. Well, the book also got translated to English, but I don't know if it's like the English translation or maybe they just don't understand it, but a lot of people are under the perspective that Don Quixote is a religious book. Even though if you read between the lines, he's poking fun at the Catholic Church all the time. Like, when there's a little procession, Don Quixote thinks that they're ghosts, so then he attacks them. He's always poking fun at the Catholic Church whenever possible. So, it really isn't a religious book. And if you think that Don Quixote is slightly, very Catholic and whatnot, and that he's pious, you really gotta read between the lines, you know. It's a funny book. It makes fun of a lot of things, and it was the first, and it's one of the earliest parody books that we're ever reading. It parodies all of the 9 books that have ever been written. You know, it's a joke. So if you're looking to do your own parody version book, or whatever topic you're into, you should really check out Don Quixote, because he really knows how to do parodies properly. The next book worth mentioning is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. You know, it's about a kid that goes on a journey and then returns from that journey, you know. But on the way, it's fun and it's cute and it's not like a long read. You know, it's fun. Nothing too far out there, but I just like the way that Coelho describes stuff, you know. It's a pleasant read. Like, sometimes if you're looking for like something kind of mellowed out, that you don't want to like overthink too much, and you want to feel a little something, then The Alchemist is a very good short bet. The next book worth mentioning is MoFlanders by Daniel Defoe. I have read a couple of books by Daniel Defoe, but MoFlanders from time to time is a fun book to return to. You know, it's kind of so like, you know, like a little bit of a graphic thing or whatever, but like, it really is like the most mundane type of stuff imaginable. It doesn't have any like graphic descriptions, and it's mainly kind of like a joke. It's a little bit of a parody book, you know. It's just a woman trying to survive in England, you know. And I was just avoiding the poorhouse, which is something that a lot of people today can like empathize with, you know. So then, like, a good example, like one of my favorite things is that she wants to marry a rich guy, so then she pretends to be rich herself by spending a lot of stuff. And then the groom that she ends up attracting turns out to have been a poor guy pretending to be a rich guy, so then both of them pretending to be something they're not, when they marry, they realize that they wasted all of their money pretending to be rich in order to marry up. So then it's like a joke, you know? So that's something that if you're like a guy or a girl looking to marry a rich person, that's something that you gotta watch out for. Like in the dating world, it's all shadows and whatnot, and it's full of people who are pretending to be stuff that they're not. Another good book worth mentioning is Dracula by Bram Stoker. We all know Dracula, you know. He just bites people and he wanders around, but the book is interesting because that it tries to make a book about a vampire seem as real as possible, you know, using newspaper articles and journals and whatnot. It is the original. Like, had Dracula been done in the modern times, it would have been a type of found footage type of movie. So that's something. So if you want to do a vampire story, found footage style, you should really like read Dracula and pay attention to the way it was drafted. So then you can do a vampire movie or book that is like follows the modern style of found footage. So that's something to consider. Another vampire book that I found amusing was The Kid the Freak. It's about a kid that becomes a vampire and then he joins a circus. And then he gets into kooky adventures. Nothing too far out there, but it's at least amusing, and none of the books are really that long. And I read about 6 when I was in high school, and they kept me amused, you know. Just another fun, campy little vampire story. A book that I have read recently and that I enjoyed very much was Terrestrial Recon by Emile Zola. That one's about, like, Emile was worried about justice and whatnot, so then he made a book about 2 murderers that thought they would get away with murder, but then, like, their unconscious messes with them, and then they tend to have a very miserable life as a result. So it's fun. The next one worth mentioning is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. You know, just your typical, you know, it's just, that one also uses what was considered the found footage style of the old days. You know, it was based on letters and diaries and handwritten documents and first-person accounts. So it was just like, you know, they found Frankenstein wandering around in the cold, and then he tells a story about the creepy monster he made and that he's hunting. You know, it's just a weird little framing device. Most people think that Frankenstein is the monster, but no, it's the guy. He made something terrible that he released upon the world, and he destroyed a bunch of stuff. So then that's why it's called the modern Prometheus, because he brought the fire and he got burned. So it has a lot of Promethean references here and there. The last book worth mentioning is the Iliad by Homer. That book, like, back when I was younger, I got into a whole reading the classic old type of books. So then I started all the way with the old Greek stuff. You know, I read the Trojan Woman, I read Diomedes, and the Odyssey. But of all of them, the one I enjoyed the most was the Iliad. Sometimes it even seems like a comedy, but it's a bit of a heavy read, so you gotta like be careful when reading it. So if you like want to try to make like a war book and you're looking for good gory descriptions and whatnot, the Iliad is very useful in that department. It should give you good ideas about how to describe your battles and whatnot, you know. Like that time when so many characters. One of them gassed his opponent like a fish. So just imagine a spear going through the mouth of his victim. So that's something bad. So if you're looking to jazz up your action scenes and make it more flowery and Greekish, you should read the Iliad to see proper ways to describe it. Well, I hope you found this short list amusing. Bye bye and God bless.